The Statue of Liberty was not born from a single moment of inspiration, nor was she created in a vacuum of idealism. Her origins are deeply rooted in a turbulent century marked by revolutions, collapsing monarchies, and the struggle to define what freedom actually meant in the modern world. To understand her, we must first understand the political environment that produced her. In the mid-1800s, France was unstable. The French Revolution had shattered the old order, but what followed was not a clear path to democracy. Power shifted between emperors, kings, and republics. Freedom was spoken about passionately, yet practiced inconsistently. Many French intellectuals admired the United States not because it was flawless, but because it had survived. It had proven that a republic could endure without collapsing back into monarchy. One of these intellectuals was Édouard de Laboulaye, a historian and legal scholar who believed symbols could shape political behavior. He admired the American Constitution and saw the United States as a living experiment in republican governance. For Laboulaye, honoring American liberty was also a way to promote republican ideals back home in France. The idea of gifting a monument was not just diplomatic, it was ideological. Liberty, in this sense, was a message aimed in two directions, outward toward America and inward toward France. To bring this idea into physical form, Laboulaye turned to sculptor Frédéric-Auguste Bartholdi. Bartholdi was not interested in small monuments. He believed scale created authority. His heroes were the builders of ancient colossi statues meant to intimidate time itself. He wanted to create something that would outlast governments and generations. From the very beginning, the statue was meant to dominate space and command attention. Construction was slow and controversial. France agreed to build the statue itself, while America was expected to fund the pedestal. Fundraising on both sides of the Atlantic was difficult. Many Americans questioned why a foreign statue should stand on U.S. soil. Others criticized it as irrelevant during a period of economic struggle. Inside the statue, engineer Gustave Eiffel designed an innovative iron framework that allowed the copper skin to move slightly with wind and temperature. Liberty would be rigid in appearance but flexible in structure, a detail that would later feel symbolic. When the statue was finally unveiled in 1886, it was celebrated as a triumph of friendship and freedom. Yet even that ceremony revealed contradictions. Women were barred from participating, African Americans were segregated. Liberty rose above a society still deeply unequal. From her first day, the statue was not a description of reality. She was an aspiration. The most surprising truth about the Statue of Liberty is that she was never originally meant for the United States. Her earliest form was conceived thousands of miles away in a very different political and cultural context. In the 1860s, Bartholdi traveled extensively through Egypt and the Middle East. He was fascinated by ancient monument statues that had survived millennia because they were built to project power and permanence. During this time, Egypt was preparing to open the Suez Canal, a project that would transform global trade and redefine geopolitical influence. Bartholdi saw an opportunity. He proposed a massive statue to stand at the canal's entrance, a towering woman holding a torch meant to symbolize progress and enlightenment. The proposed title was revealing Egypt bringing light to Asia. This was not a message of equality. It was a statement of civilizational hierarchy. The light came from the powerful and flowed outward to the rest of the world. The Egyptian government rejected the proposal. It was too expensive and too politically charged. But Bartholdi did not abandon the concept. He refined it, reimagined it, and eventually redirected it toward America. The torch remained. The colossal scale remained. The idea of light as power remained, only the audience changed. This origin challenges the widely accepted myth that the statue was conceived purely as a humanitarian symbol. In truth, it emerged from an imperial age where monuments were tools of influence. Liberty was not originally about welcoming the oppressed. She was about announcing dominance. Understanding this does not erase her later meanings, but it forces us to confront a more complex reality. Symbols often evolve far beyond the intentions of their creators. The Statue of Liberty is modeled not after a real woman, but after an idea, specifically the Roman goddess Libertas. This choice matters because Roman liberty was fundamentally different from modern concepts of freedom. In ancient Rome, liberty meant legal status, not universal rights. It applied to citizens, not slaves. It emphasized order, law, and loyalty to the state. Libertas symbolized stability and authority, not rebellion against power. This philosophy is embedded in the statue's design. Liberty wears a crown, not a wreath. Crowns represent sovereignty and authority. Her 7 rays are often interpreted as representing the world's continents and seas, suggesting global reach. She holds a tablet bearing a date, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, rather than a weapon or a gesture of welcome. Even the broken chains at her feet are subtle, almost hidden from view. This is liberty controlled, measured, and institutionalized. The statue does not depict struggle, it depicts order. She does not invite the oppressed to rise up. She stands as a guardian of a system. This does not make her false, but it makes her specific. Liberty, as represented here, is not chaotic freedom. It is freedom under law, defined by the state. This distinction would later shape how the statue was interpreted and criticized around the world. When the Statue of Liberty was unveiled in 1886, the United States was far from a land of universal freedom. The Civil War had ended, but Reconstruction had failed. Segregation was becoming institutionalized through Jim Crow laws. African Americans faced widespread violence and disenfranchisement. Native American nations were being forcibly displaced, their cultures systematically dismantled. Women were excluded from political life entirely. Chinese immigrants faced legal exclusion and racial hostility. Liberty stood tall in the harbor, but many could not claim what she symbolized. It is important to note that the statue's most famous association with immigrants did not exist at first. Emma Lazarus's poem, The New Colossus, which framed liberty as a welcoming mother of exiles, was added later. It was a reinterpretation, a moral correction to a symbol that lacked clear humanitarian meaning. Freedom had to be written into liberty's story. This reveals a critical truth. Symbols are often reshaped to meet moral needs. Liberty became what people needed her to be, not necessarily what she was designed to represent. For immigrants arriving in America, the Statue of Liberty became deeply personal. After weeks or months at sea, she was the first sign that their journey might lead somewhere better. For people fleeing famine, war, persecution, and poverty, liberty was not an abstract ideal, she was emotional survival. They did not analyze her origins, they felt her presence. Over time, millions of personal stories transformed the statue's meaning. Liberty became associated with second chances, resilience, and reinvention. This meaning did not come from governments or sculptors. It came from lived experience. In this sense, liberty was reclaimed from below. The statue's power grew not because of politics, but because of belief. People projected their hopes onto her copper form, and in doing so, reshaped her identity. This is how symbols truly endure. During the Cold War, the Statue of Liberty entered a new phase of symbolism. She became a weapon in an ideological struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Freedom versus control. Capitalism versus communism. Liberty's image appeared in propaganda, films, speeches, and broadcasts. She stood as visual proof of moral superiority. But this message was not received equally everywhere. In countries affected by U.S. interventions, coups, and proxy wars, liberty's image felt hollow. The promise of freedom clashed with experiences of instability and violence. The same symbol inspired hope in some places and resentment in others. Liberty became selective. No nation physically attacks the Statue of Liberty. Instead, they challenge her meaning. Political cartoons, protest art, and speeches often depict her as blindfolded, broken, or holding weapons instead of a torch. These critiques are not rejections of freedom itself. They are rejections of inconsistency. To critics, liberty represents global power, military influence, economic pressure. The statue becomes a mirror reflecting geopolitical grievances. So what is the Statue of Liberty? She is not a lie, she is not a guarantee, she is a challenge. She represents humanity's highest ideals and its deepest contradictions. She can be a symbol of hope and a reminder of hypocrisy at the same time. The torch still burns. But it does not answer questions, it asks them. And that is why the Statue of Liberty still matters.